Today, June 22nd, 1941, Operation Barbarossa begins. This operation is Nazi Germany's invasion of the Soviet Union, launched with the largest invasion force ever assembled in the history of warfare. To understand how this moment unfolds, we need to look at events from June 21st and the early morning hours of June 22nd. In the early hours of the 21st, a submarine commander in the Soviet Red Navy reports spotting a convoy of 32 German troop transports at the entrance to the Gulf of Finland. Later that evening, General Maxim Perkiev calls Red Army Chief of Staff Georgy Zhukov with alarming news. A German sergeant major has crossed over to the Soviet border guards, warning them that German troops are already in their attack positions and will strike at dawn. That soldier's name is Alfred Liskov. A committed communist, Liskov swims across the Bug River to warn the Soviets of the coming invasion. Perkiev immediately contacts Zhukov, who then informs Joseph Stalin. Soon after, Stalin and Zhukov meet Defense Commissar Semyon Timoshenko inside the Kremlin. Stalin suggests the Germans may have deliberately sent this turncoat as a provocation, hoping to trigger a conflict. Timoshenko dismisses the idea. He points out that German forces have already cut telephone lines leading into the Soviet Union and insists that the border troops must be alerted immediately. Stalin still believes it is too early for full mobilization. However, he agrees to issue a directive to the military councils in the border districts. The order warns that a sudden German attack is possible, but stresses that Soviet forces must not respond to any provocations. That directive is sent out just after midnight. So what else is happening during this tense night? Here are a few scenes from that evening, recorded by historian Martin Gilbert. Adolf Hitler is dining with Albert Speer and Grand Admiral Erich Rieder. After dinner, he enthusiastically discusses plans for a massive German naval base near Trondheim, Norway. It would include the largest dockyards in the Reich. A brand new city would be built alongside it, designed to house 250,000 Germans. Hitler then turns on the gramophone and plays Franz Liszt's Les Preludes. He tells his guests they should grow accustomed to hearing it. It will be the victory fanfare of Operation Barbarossa. He also speaks of his grand architectural visions for Berlin and other German cities. Those plans, he says, are now sealed in blood. Russia, he explains, will supply unlimited granite and marble for these monuments. Meanwhile, in Novograd-Volynsk, Soviet General Konstantin Rokossovsky is attending a concert at his headquarters as guest of honor. When the directive from Moscow arrives, he orders his commanders to return to their units, but only after the concert ends. In Kiev, General Dmitry Pavlov is watching a comedy performance. When he receives the warning, he decides to stay until the show is finished. In the town of Semyatiks, a grand ball is underway on the evening of June 21st. Among the guests are local residents, members of the Jewish community, and, as was often the case, German border guards from the other side. The celebration continues well past 4 in the morning. Then the bombs begin to fall. The lights go out. Despite months of troop movements, equipment build-ups, and countless warning signs, the Soviet Union is caught almost completely by surprise. Germany is about to unleash a force unlike anything seen before. The Wehrmacht brings 140 German divisions to the attack, and its allies and co-belligerents will soon add even more. Among them are 17 panzer divisions and 13 fully motorized divisions. A quick note before going further. Exact numbers vary slightly between sources. There's even a dedicated episode breaking down the condition of the German and Soviet armies in detail. So far in the war, German losses have been remarkably low by 20th century standards, especially when compared to the First World War. Across campaigns in Poland, Denmark, Belgium, the Netherlands, France, Luxembourg, Yugoslavia, Greece, North Africa and Crete combined, the Wehrmacht has lost roughly 70,000 men killed or missing. At the same time, Germany's armed forces have expanded dramatically. The army has grown from 3.7 million men to 5 million. The Luftwaffe now numbers around 1.7 million. The Kriegsmarine has reached 400,000. Even the Waffen-SS has expanded, from 50,000 to 150,000 men. As one historian observed, the German army, supported by its air fleets, was not only larger, but vastly stronger in every respect than it had been in 1939. Its weapons were better, its reserves deeper, and above all, its operational skill had reached an entirely new level. Hitler's rearmament program between 1935 and 1939 had merely added military weight to his foreign policy adventures. By 1941, war itself had saturated German society. 1 in 4 German men now wore a uniform. Most had tasted victory, marched through occupied territory, and watched soldiers from the victorious nations of 1918 surrender and enter captivity. The red, white, and black flag with the swastika now flew from the Meuse to the Memel, from the Belt to the Adige, just as the national anthem proclaimed. And German soldiers now stood ready to carry it even farther, into the heart of Stalin's Russia. On June 22nd, the German order of battle stretches from north to south. Army Group North, under Field Marshal Wilhelm von Lieb, consists of 26 divisions. These are organized into 2 armies. The 18th Army under Georg von Küchler and the 16th Army under Ernst Busch. Supporting them is Erich Hoepner's 4th Panzer Group, made up of 3 panzer divisions. 1 additional division is held in reserve, while 3 more are assigned to security duties. Air support comes from Luftflotte 1. At the center stands the largest force of all. Army Group Center, commanded by Field Marshal Fedor von Bock, fields 51 divisions. It includes 2 powerful panzer groups. The 3rd Panzer Group under Hermann Hoth and the 2nd Panzer Group under Heinz Guderian together deploy 9 panzer divisions. The infantry component consists of the 9th Army under Adolf Strauss and the 4th Army under Hans Gunther von Kluge. 2 divisions remain in reserve. They are supported from the air by Luftflotte 2. In the south, Army Group South is commanded by Field Marshal Gerd von Rundstedt. It consists of 41 German divisions. Its armored spearhead is Panzer Group Kleist, led by Ewald von Kleist, with 5 divisions. 3 armies form the backbone of this group: the 6th Army under Walther von Reichenau, the 17th Army under Karl-Heinrich von Stülpnagel, and the 11th Army under Eugen von Schobert. They are reinforced by 3 reserve divisions and supported by Luftflotte 4. In addition, 14 Romanian divisions join the invasion. These belong to the Romanian 3rd and 4th Armies, commanded by Peter Dumitrescu and Nicolae Ciuperca. Far to the north, preparing to join the campaign, are General Nicolaus von Falkenhorst's forces in occupied Norway. Alongside them stand 21 divisions of the Finnish army, eager to reclaim the territories lost to the Soviet Union after the Winter War. Altogether, the Axis invasion force numbers roughly 3.5 million men. They are supported by around 7,100 artillery pieces and approximately 3,300 tanks. This is more armor and nearly as much artillery as was used in the invasion of France the previous year. But this time, it is spread across a vastly larger front. The German armored forces look stronger than they did the year before. There is now a higher proportion of Mark III and Mark IV tanks, around 1,400 in total. However, Hitler's demand to upgun these tanks has still not been fulfilled. The panzer divisions themselves are also organized differently. There are more of them than in 1940, but each division now fields fewer vehicles. The largest panzer division contains 199 tanks compared to roughly 300 the year before. In addition, the Germans now field 250 assault guns. These are assigned to infantry support battalions, but they fall under artillery command rather than armored units. As a result, they compete with tanks for production capacity and resources. On the Soviet side, overall command rests with Georgy Zhukov and Semyon Timoshenko. Along the vast front line, Red Army forces are deployed from north to south in several major fronts. In the north is Fyodor Kuznetsov's Northwestern Front. It consists of 24 divisions, including 4 tank divisions. These are organized into 2 armies. the 8th Army under Pyotr Sobernikov, and the 11th Army under Vasily Morozov. At the center stands Dmitry Pavlov's Western Front. It fields 38 divisions, including 8 tank divisions. These include the 3rd Army under Vasily Kuznetsov, the 10th Army under Konstantin Golubev, and the 4th Army under Alexander Korobkov. The 13th Army under Pyotr Filatov is held in reserve around Minsk. Further south lies the Southwestern Front under Mikhail Kirponos. This is the largest Soviet grouping, with 56 divisions, including 16 tank divisions. Its component armies are the 5th Army under Mikhail Potapov, the 6th Army under Ivan Muzichenko, the 26th Army under Fyodor Kostenko, and the 12th Army under Pavel Pondolin. Closer to the Black Sea is the Southern Front, commanded by Ivan Tulanev. It consists of 16 divisions, including 4 tank divisions. These are divided between Ilya Smirnov's 18th Army and Yakov Cherevichenko's 9th Army. From the very beginning, both sides face serious logistical challenges. There is a separate in-depth episode that explores the logistical realities of this campaign in detail. Here, only the essentials. For the Germans, the problem is distance. They must advance hundreds, sometimes thousands, of kilometers across terrain with few roads. The Soviet rail network uses a different track gauge, making immediate use impossible. Germany has assembled the largest motor pool it can manage. This includes not only German vehicles, but thousands seized from France and other occupied countries. That diversity alone guarantees maintenance problems and shortages of spare parts. To compensate, the Wehrmacht relies heavily on animals. 635,000 horses are committed to the invasion. As a result, some units move rapidly by motor, while others advance at the pace of marching men and horse-drawn wagons. This creates a dangerous imbalance. Fast units risk racing far ahead of their supply lines and losing effective contact with slower forces behind them. The Soviets, meanwhile, possess enormous manpower and vast quantities of equipment. On paper, this looks like a decisive advantage. In practice, it hides deep structural weaknesses. The Red Army fields around 230 divisions in total, but only about 170 of these are positioned in the western regions of the Soviet Union. Moving the remaining formations to the front requires marches of over 1,000 kilometers. For 60 divisions stationed deeper in the country, the distances involved stretch into several thousand kilometers. The Soviets also possess far more tanks than Germany, approximately 24,000 in total, an astonishing number, but only about 1/4 of them are in proper running, combat-ready condition. German intelligence estimates Soviet tank strength at around 10,000, badly underestimating the true figure. Adding to the uncertainty are 2 new Soviet tank designs, the T-34 and the KV-1. Nearly 1,500 of these modern tanks are already deployed with Soviet tank divisions. The Germans, however, know almost nothing about them, or what they are capable of on the battlefield. The Soviet Union also holds a numerical advantage in the air. The Red Air Force fields roughly 8,000 aircraft, but numbers alone are misleading. Many of these planes are poorly maintained, and a large portion are already obsolete. Only a fraction are truly combat-ready. Just a few years earlier, the Red Army had been torn apart by internal purges. Senior and junior officers alike were arrested, executed, or removed from command. Those who replaced them were often politically reliable, but militarily inexperienced. The winter war against Finland had exposed these weaknesses brutally. Reforms followed, but time did not. Barely a year has passed since then, and there has been little opportunity for proper training. Some Soviet tank crews have spent no more than a single hour inside their vehicles. Worse still, the German attack comes as such a shock that many Soviet units are not even in position. Some formations meant to defend the frontier are more than 300 kilometers away in barracks. Others are on training grounds. And some units already at the border are positioned too far forward, dangerously exposed. The German operational plan is clear. Army Group North is to advance toward Leningrad. Army Group Center is to drive east toward Smolensk. Army Group South is tasked with capturing Kiev. Hitler, however, has already added his own twist. After Smolensk, he wants Army Group Center to turn north and assist the drive on Leningrad. German Army Chief of Staff Franz Halder disagrees. He believes the decisive objective is Moscow. That conflict in strategy will soon have consequences. At 3:15 in the morning on June 22nd, the invasion begins. German artillery opens fire along the entire frontier. Motorized units surge forward. As daylight breaks, the Luftwaffe takes to the skies. It is exactly 1 year since France surrendered. Within minutes, German propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels reads a proclamation to the nation over the radio. The words are Adolf Hitler's. Weighed down with heavy cares, condemned to months of silence, I can at last speak freely, German people. At this moment, a march is taking place that, for its extent, compares with the greatest the world has ever seen. Today, I have again decided to place the fate and future of the Reich and our people in the hands of our soldiers. May God help us, especially in this fight. Only minutes later, Georgy Zhukov issues orders to the Red Army. German forces are to be attacked and destroyed wherever they cross the border. Soviet troops, however, are forbidden from advancing into German territory. At noon, Soviet Foreign Minister Vyacheslav Molotov is scheduled to address the nation. Before that broadcast, Moscow makes one last attempt at diplomacy. Japan is asked to act as an intermediary. When it becomes clear there will be no negotiations, the announcement is made. The Soviet Union has been invaded. The country is at war. Later in the week, attention will turn to what unfolds on the battlefield during the opening days of the campaign, and to events elsewhere in the world that do not involve Germany or the Soviet Union. But one thing is already certain. The master of 9 European capitals, ruler of Europe from the Arctic cold of the North Cape to the warm beaches of Crete, his armies unbeaten even beyond Egypt's frontier, Hitler has now turned his gaze and his armies toward Moscow. Make no mistake, from this moment on the war is no longer the same. It is far larger, and if German directives are followed, it will be far bloodier and far less humane. In truth, humanity itself may have just been cast aside. This day is only the beginning, only a prelude, and perhaps no music fits this moment better than Franz Liszt.